They were having a good time. They were just like, should we try again? Let's try again. I don't know what just happened. It was so weird. Okay. Hi. Hello.
Hello,
Hello. Who are you? Who am I speaking to?
this is Bob, and
Oh,
now
hi.
my camera's on. I think.
Oh, it's okay. You don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to.
What was that? That was rowdy.
What? Oh, the I
Yeah.
know. That was funny. That was just like, whoa, buddy. They're
Yeah.
having they're having a party. So what's going on with you? What made you want to come on my live?
I was so I'm new to TikTok, but also a life coach.
You're a
Love
life
her.
coach also?
Yes, actually I am. So this is actually my first interaction on live with another life coach. Actually,
Okay.
on TikTok. This
I'll
morning
follow you.
what's that?
I'll follow you. I'm trying to find. Hold on. I'll do it. I'll do it. I can't. I just for some reason it won't let me. Okay, so what kind of life coach are you?
Um, so it's it's a work in progress. It's only been I think I've been on TikTok 10 days or 14 days. And it started on Instagram about 20 days ago with me ranting for 2 minutes while driving. And it's turned into a live chat with the angry therapist this morning. Um,
What do you mean? The angry therapist.
John Kim. He wrote a really good book that called "I Used to Be a Miserable Fuck." I don't know if you swear on your channel or not, but yeah, it's just been an interesting journey of kind of finding my inner peace, but learning to embrace all the failures and frustrations of life and not hide from them, but instead just convert them into useful ways of helping other people. And to be completely transparent, the whole ranting thing just started off as just a daily devotion kind of place to log my thoughts, and then all of a sudden people started following, and I don't know. I think my TikTok, well, I'm clearly over 1,000 followers in 10 days, so it's
In a
been
day?
in 10 days. I've
Dang.
only had my TikTok 10 days, so it's been a fun ride. I think I'm up to like 1,400 or something. So yeah. Uh,
Wow.
so just getting out there in the world and yeah, what's your story?
Oh, about how I became a life coach?
Well, yeah, I mean, you condense version.
Hmm. Similar to how most life coaches come to be life coaches is they need one themselves. Um, but I honestly just, it was random. It was kind of like a lady on Instagram reached out to me, said, I'm a life coach. Do you want to work with me? And I was like, what's that? And yeah, then I took my certification. I did like an online, but it was like virtual. So it was like a real class, but it was like virtual. It was from California school.
Okay.
And yeah, I got my certification like 4 years ago. And I've kind of morphed it into now I do more human design coaching along with meditation and like healing work because I'm a Reiki practitioner also. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of me. Yeah, I like TikTok. It's been really fun. It's been interesting though because there's a lot of hate on here, and it's been interesting to try to rewrite that narrative, like with my followers and with the content and just learning how to like block certain comments and yeah. Have you
No,
experienced anything like that?
it's like dancing in the gutter. How's that?
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. Dancing in the
Yeah,
gutter.
it
Okay.
is. It's like I said, I just started posting videos, both to be entertaining, but also just kind of just give little quips of advice, like can't focus on what you can control. Let go of what you can't, and think how to create boundaries. Just simple little hooks and really just the format for my videos is just more like a simple comedic hook, get somebody's attention, give some experience, and then give a solution. And I've been doing that for every day for, like I said, about 20 days, under a month for sure. And I really had no intentions for any of it. I didn't have really any intention for life coach or anything other than just share my story. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to get all these messages of people just like dumping their lives on me,
Oh, wow.
and like very vulnerable stories. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm a complete stranger, and
Yeah.
and it's like how I was just talking with a friend of mine the other day about it. I was like, I don't know, I don't know if I'd be that like just.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And we just came to the conclusion that like that's how heavy the pain is. That's how
Yeah.
hard. That's how lonely it is. And 75% of my followers are women.
Yeah, that's like me. Like 75 are mine are men.
And so that was a perplexing kind of demographic because like on my Instagram, for example, it's more 50-50. It's more just like ironed out and simple, straightforward, pretty close to my age range, that kind of thing. And so when I kind of dive deeper, there's an epidemic of loneliness,
Yeah.
societally speaking.
Yeah.
And I read a book, gosh, this was a long time ago, and it was about how it was about the systemic depression, mental health of the 1950s, 1960s housewife. And the
Oh.
and the concept is that suburbia created a whole nother gambit of depression. The isolation that came with it, right? Because like when you're in a condensed city, there's hustle, there's bustle, there's people everywhere, and then all of a sudden you're out in this suburbia setting. Kids are at school, husband's at work. The yards are wide and spread apart. And I'm getting off topic, but the point is like this is the first time that like the female depression, and mother's little helper and all these alcoholism increased in the 1960s between women, and we've kind of replaced that societally with busyness, in my opinion. This
Mm-hmm.
concept where like if you look at the average person, they're clocked like by 60-minute increments throughout their entire day.
I know.
And the systemic loneliness on TikTok is really sad because I feel it's that new mother's little helper, that dad's little helper. And quite frankly, as a male, my perspective of TikTok is it's from a male lens, like once you start interacting and TikTok knows that you're a male, it turns into pornography. It's really like a bizarre feed. So it's nice to see somebody changing that narrative from a male's perspective. I just I thought my message and my rants and things would be more attached, identified with males and stuff like that. But breaking out of your shell, finding your identity, setting boundaries, these are all like hardcore women topics, that are like driving home. And I'm getting these like lengthy stories and stuff like that. And so I've decided, to help people. I don't know. I don't even know where, like, it's just all by chance. It's kind of a crazy story.
It sounds to me like it's kind of kismet. It's kind of one of those things that seems, in my opinion, like something that you're meant to be doing, you know?
Absolutely. And it's like that saying, like a great leaders never want to lead.
Yep.
So I've been having a lot of fun with it. But I don't want that to sound like in a morbid way, because I mean it has been heartbreaking to hear some of these stories and some of these circumstances that people are going through. And then how do I keep my own healthy boundaries at the same time? It's just a whole gambit of education for myself. And I'm a business owner. I'm not like I'm just
Oh.
I'm a normal human being and not.
Mm.
I mean, I'm a fan of personal development, and I'm a student of psychology and love learning new concepts and personal growth. I mean, it's you're either evolving or you're dying. So I mean, it's interesting to just see this kind of turn of events for myself. But yeah, it's been heartbreaking to kind of hear some of these stories and stuff like that, and I'm just like, wow. And then to hear like people spending 2 to 4 hours a day on the platform. It's like this woman I was talking to. It's like my kids go to bed 8:15, and I'm usually on TikTok till about midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't judge, but I'm thinking in my head as like one
It's
person.
okay if you do judge. We all do. It's a
No, I
normal
mean like
human thing.
directly, right? Like I'll tell you, but I don't know if I would get into a confrontational judgment in in a chat or something like that. But I'm just like, where's your husband? Or like, you complain about your relationship is dying, but you're hiding in this app.
Yeah, I think part of it too is that it's just dopamine that we all so badly need because we're so depressed. So if you can get that hit of dopamine every second and it's never ending, of course people are addicted to it. Especially if because their worlds were blown up a few years ago, now they don't know what they want because the status quo has completely changed. So honestly, that's partly why I got on here is because my kids were on it so much. And I was like, yo, I need to know what's out there. And I need to, and then it got to be like kind of a passion where I was like, if we're going to be like seeing all this crap, like what you just said about being pornography and stuff, like we might as well create content that's not and help make it a safer place for children specifically, you know? So question for you. So why do you think women come to you? Like in your personal opinion, like unbridled, tell me exactly how you think. Why do you think they do it? And then that's not, there's nothing from me I'm just asking like an open-ended question. Why do you think so?
I'm sorry. I'm smirking because like when immediately when I'm asked that question, I think of this like super ego, like I'm just this awesome human being, and I don't think that's it at all, right? I think that this is gonna sound so arrogant. I it's almost as if like I'm clearly very in tune with my emotions, my relationship dynamics. I understand like the ability to listen and ask questions like, do you want me to listen right now, or do you want me to give you advice? Like that's something I do with my wife all the time, and so guarded of that whole jumping in and stuff like that. So I feel like these are things that women want men to say. These are things that but at the same time, I think that there's a level of criticism that men might have towards their spouse that no spouse ever is going to be able to say to their spouse, if that makes sense. But if they hear it from somebody else, it's completely different. Like for example, like
Their secret self. They're sharing with you their secret self, which is what the CIA would call it. Yeah.
I guess I mean I take
Yeah.
something simple. You know, there's this concept of mom burnout
Hmm.
where mothers are overwhelming in the household and they derive their identity from their ability to service the household. Like nobody can do it better than me, so I'm not going to allow anybody to do it. But then when things go sideways or I'm not feeling well, then I'm going to complain that nobody helps me. And creates this kind of rhythmic cycle, right? So some of my message,
It's a cyclical rhythmic cycle.
yes, because then, um, you know, men, we want to be fixers, right? So then we come in like to do the bath or to put the kids to bed, but we have our own style, we have our own format, we have our own way of connecting with our children that might be a little more rambunctious, might be a little more playful, might be
Yeah.
a little more out of the norm, right? So now it's, you know what? It's just easier if I do it. It's just easier if these are the statements that are made. So
Sure.
no husband is going to be able to tell their wife, what I just said, right? Like, but if
Well,
I'm able
they can,
to
but
know how,
how are you
yeah.
asking?
No, maybe they don't know how.
Oh, sure. Sure, sure. Yeah. I mean, and I don't think even women know how. Obviously, it's both. It's not just the males don't know how or the females don't know how. It's that they both don't know how. And I think there's a fear there depending on what it is. But I think it's just a systemic thing that, again, like you said, started back in the 1940s and 50s when, the housewife became a thing and the women didn't really have a job except to care for the children. But if you look in the past, like they had other jobs too when they were part of a community. It's also lack of community. Hi, Louie. We're talking about Bob here is another life coach, and he and I are talking about kind of like male and female roles in society. So if you have anything to add, please do, and all of you in here, please, yeah,
Yeah.
and go follow
Um,
Bob.
oh, thank you.
Yep.
So what's interesting is you're talking about chemical levels, and help me out if you know this. I can't. The the chemical that's released during breastfeeding,
Oxytocin.
sex, oxytocin.
Oxytocin. Hmm.
Okay, so when women are under stress, that's released more than in men, and estrogen creates a different.
Don't do you mean the stress hormone? Are you talking about cortisol? Cortisol is released more?
Possibly. What men deal with stress better in certain circumstances than women, but the addictive behavior of the compressed stress becomes more attached for women. And I'm messing this up because I'm not
That's
completely in tune with it. The point is not so much the chemical levels, but that there's an identity that becomes formed around all of the habitual things that have to do with the household. And when men try to interject, they're not perfect at it. They're going to be more clumsy. They're not going to have the grace and the experience all of the time. And I'm generalizing, but the point I'm trying to make is that there's an identity crisis on the opposite side of it, where if somebody is a stay-at-home mom or somebody who is in hyper isolation, because what so from the probably handful of women that I've spoken to just on TikTok and Instagram in the last couple of weeks, the general consensus that I get is if they're a working mother, then they have guilt, and if they're a stay-at-home mom, they're feeling judged, and this idea like that they have their life easier, and then the working mom is guilty because they're always away, and then you take on top of that the hyper child schedule of the 60-minute increments we were talking about. I think it just creates this overwhelming. What?
sorry. One of okay, Rocket Cruise, say it. Let's go. Remind me your name, like your first name, your real name. I hate when people don't put their names in their bios because it's like I see Shadow Ghost and it's like it's been like a couple weeks since I've seen him in my live. Okay, so what do you say what you have to say? We want to hear it. Sorry. We just kind of have to interact too. Um,
Oh, for sure. I just get off on a tangent.
no, you're fine. So hold on one second here. So what do you think is like the number one thing that we can change, like women can change? Like what can we
This is
like it's and that's very general, right? Overgeneralized because just because I'm a female doesn't mean that I'm going to think exactly like another female, like so we're also generalizing a lot. So but I'd like to hear that.
what a female could change.
Well, like, what can we be doing that can help with the communication as far as looking at roles? Like, what would you want us to be doing? Would you want us to be working and be in the house? Would you want to be in the house? Like, do you
I
feel
think
like men have the words that women do to say how they feel? Um,
I think
in
I
a,
think it's really simple. I met from the many. Well, I'll speak for myself, but I can also contest to other men. encouragement is the biggest thing that's lacking, I feel, in
Yep.
general in
Yep.
society
Yep.
and also in a household. There's a new culture of male masculinity suppression is really the easiest way to put it. Um,
Oh,
the validation of like you're doing a good job, like even if it's something simple, like I'm so glad you know how to change that light bulb, or I'm so glad you know how to kill that spider, or I'm so glad that you don't have a problem doing
oh,
that, or I'm so glad
oh,
you just
yes.
groveling, just gratitude, just a little bit of
Yeah.
gratitude. And it goes both ways. I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lack of validation on a
Yeah.
simplistic level. And
Hmm.
and so many times people overcomplicate.
Yeah.
You know what I
Agreed.
mean?
Hmm.
What would you say men what I'll ask you the same question. Like what do you feel men could do that would simplify things? Or what could we do better?
Well, I mean, I say this to my partner all the time, and he's he's getting good at it, but I would say like communication about specifically, this is me, communication about just really anything, like just very communicative. Um, I would say for me more like hugs and like encouragement with words also. Um, and I also think just giving women more time to themselves because I think a lot of men think that women who stay home or whatever, they don't have like, they don't need time to themselves because they think, oh, well, you get time to yourself all day. It's like, no, like, I'm not laying around like sleeping all day. So I think that's the part that I would say would be my 2 cents about that.
Um yeah, there's this I think for men there's a sense of stoicness where emotions can be dangerous. Like an emotional male is it is not is as a male myself, I don't want to really be surrounded or interact with a male that operates based on their feelings. Um,
Why?
so making decisions based on feelings is very dangerous in my opinion. Um, where that can't be the motivator. At least for men, that cannot be the motivator because all we would do is do things that make us feel good, right? Like
But what makes you think women would do that? Women, I don't feel like I do that.
I feel that an emotionally unstable person does that.
I
Where they
guess, but like I don't feel that way. Like, I mean, everybody can get emotionally unstable, right? But I don't think that every woman makes decisions out of emotional immaturity unless she herself is emotionally immature, right? I feel like there's a lot of women who do sit and think like, okay, I'll tell you this. My first husband, he and this is no secret, but he would always tell me like think 3 seconds before you say something.
hmm
And that to me back then, this was in my 20s, I was like, that is so rude. Like, what do you even mean? But then as I thought more about it and I was like, oh, what does that mean? How can I actually? And I was like, okay. And it helped me. Like, it helped me a lot. And I think that there's a lot of women who are very reactive because of the difference in our biology, really. I mean, and I think that there's also something to be said for holding space for femininity and for the emotional volatility of women. And I think that men, just like women, can be asked to step into I call it their divine masculine, and women into their divine feminine because we all need each other, but we don't need to play a societal role, just like there's different things that are created by society that like social constructs that really limit us in our abilities.
No, I mean, I I heard something the other day. It said nobody needs a man until the streets need to be plowed or the buildings burning down.
I don't think that's true. That's sad to me.
And but the reality is for me, and I really have a difficult time uh, saying we and stuff like that. I like to speak upon myself. And what I can say for myself is it takes a lot of practice to be able to communicate. And I think that in any relationship, um, it just takes a lot of practice. And that whole dynamic you were talking about, how the reactivity, and then you have the other component of it of, so if a man says something slightly the wrong way and then it's reacted to,
Yeah.
and then there's an overcompensation, and then there's a this and that, and all of a sudden we've got this full-blown argument over who's drying the dishes. It takes practice, and I think that it's scary for a lot of people to start practicing, just to make that first move, where it's easier to get on TikTok or start scrolling your phone and hiding.
Oh, yeah, it's an addiction. I mean, it is. It's just like if you look at it in really the most simple terms, it's just an addiction.
Well, the addiction creates the isolation
It's,
from the
yeah.
real problem.
Hmm.
The hiding, wherever you're hiding, whether it's gambling, because social media might be a huge, a bigger addiction for women than men, or it might be the same. But sports gambling is becoming an insane addiction for middle-aged males.
I mean, my partner does that. He does that with football, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, and it's addicting for him too.
And it's so we have these vices, these distractionary things that, it used to be the addiction was you could smell booze on their breath, or whatever variation of that you want to take. And now I think that addictive behavior, and just the things that we do are more elusive. They don't
Yeah.
have that same generalized surface.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I think the
Ultimately,
problem I think is it's hard for me because I always try to like think about whose fault is it, which is so dumb. But I'm like, whose fault is it? And I think that really truly it is some our fault, right? But I think a lot of it is our society. But then again, whose fault is that? Because we're putting those people into power positions. I don't know. I go around and around in my head like, whose fault is it? But then again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think we just all have to do the similar thing, which is like move towards health, move towards abundance, move towards love, move towards acceptance, like move towards all the things that religion tells us to do. I'm not saying it in a religious sense, but like the commandment, whatever, and just do the positive thing, the thing that's towards the light, not the thing that's towards the dark, which is dead or death or animal, right? So I think that's what this, in my opinion, I think if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, we're all being asked to ascend, to
yeah.
become higher in consciousness. And we all need to learn how to get back to basics, but also embrace our ascending self, which I think the internet, it has done wonders for. Because I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I've had some weird experiences on TikTok. I will tell you one of the first experiences I had on here, and I had never experienced an app like this, right? And I'm a pretty naive person. I'm not as much anymore, but I used to be. And I came on here, and there was literally this I don't know where she was from. She was from a Latin country, and she was like the most beautiful person I had ever seen in my entire, like her face, just she looked like Megan Fox, but like Latina. She was like, and I just was like, oh my God, I love women. And she was doing some sort of like ritual or something. It was a little strange, but I had what I will say, like, it's almost like a full on Kundalini awakening. Like, it was like really crazy. Like, I have never experienced something like that before. So, whatever it is that maybe it's because I would have never met her otherwise, and she has wisdom in her that I needed. But I think people are waking up because everybody is in their own stage of development. And unless we're woken up by somebody else, in my opinion, it's kind of like a key, like if you think of a lock. And that's always what interests me. And oh, Star Thompson channel, let me in. Um, okay, but you have to promise me you won't be rude or inappropriate. Okay? And then I'm fine with you joining. I'll wait for your answer. Okay, I'll just let him in. It's fine. We can kick him off. Okay, so you said then you begin not realizing you had nothing in common, then something happened. What do you mean?
God,
Hello?
I want to ask y'all a question. Hello, guys. Hello. I want
Hi.
to ask y'all a question.
Sure.
What is the purpose of life? What's in the purpose of life?
The purpose?
What is the purpose of life?
Bob?
Yeah, the purpose of life.
What is the purpose of life? As a man, the purpose of life
Yes.
is to be content, um, to be centrist. So many times we find ourselves hyper reacting to the negativity and hyper reacting to the positive. So to be able to stay centrist to where we can acknowledge the bad things that happen, we can acknowledge the good things that happen, but in the end, the closer to the center that we can stay, the more collectively we can comprise our own energy, which will allow us to stay more stable in that's my purpose to life. My purpose of life is to stay as central as possible.
I love that.
Okay. Oh, actually, yeah, I love that too. Let me tell you something that you might don't know. Afterlife. What's the afterlife? What do you think about the afterlife?
It's getting deep.
Okay. I'll answer this. This is my opinion. I think that I think the afterlife is kind of like what we know it from like the stories we hear in religious texts. But I also think it's what I have read, like of near death experiences where you ascend slowly through different, like, I don't know, um, dimensions. And I think that we reach a state that we
I think I can
choose.
tell you
Hmm?
after this.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think the purpose after life is that you go to a heaven or hell. So in two places. So if you repent your sin, ask Jesus Christ, forgive your sin on this side of this life, which is on earth, you go to heaven if you repent and follow Jesus. But if you don't repent your sin, ask Jesus Christ, forgive your sin, and follow Jesus, you go to hell.
Where do you think hell is? What do you think it's like there?
Hell's a volcano. If you study hell, it's a volcano. It's lava. It's under the earth. It's a true facts is the Bible is facts that the Bible is true because hell is a volcano because hell is stuff come out of earth is from hell. It's below us. It's facts. If you can state it, it's a ball of fire. If you study scientists, if you study the earth, it's a ball of fire in the center of the earth.
Shadow Ghost says we make our
So
own hell.
that was people that go to hell.
That's true.
After life. So only way you escape is through Jesus. So you escape hell through Jesus, which he rose from the dead and sent into heaven.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think?
Uh, I think that I'm thankful that you said that.
Yeah. So what's your belief in? You believe in Jesus or you just kind of
I'm not,
atheist? I'm
but
just asking.
I'm
So go
not
ahead.
on here to have a come to Jesus moment. I'm not trying to be rude, but I already was
No,
baptized.
I'm not trying to be rude to you.
And I don't really want to talk. I guess like, I don't know. Um, I just don't like to do that on here, if that's okay. Just because this is like an open space
Yes.
and I'm not trying to like evangelize anyone. Like I have my own beliefs, but I don't like to tell people my beliefs. So we were just having a discussion about something
I'm not.
completely different.
Listen,
So
sister.
if you want to hang out, that's
Yes,
fine and
I don't
talk with
want.
us on this.
I'm not
But
stirring you.
okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna just hang out. I'm just gonna ask you a question what your belief is because if you believe in Jesus, don't be ashamed of it. I know a lot of Christians say they believe in Jesus and don't listen to me. I don't know why if you're a Christian, you believe in Jesus, you got baptized. Don't be ashamed of it because it's nothing to be ashamed of. Okay.
I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah. If you believe in Jesus Christ, it's not to be ashamed of. I don't know why some people be ashamed of, but let me tell you, more you trust in Jesus, more you learn to not be ashamed of.
Hmm. I feel that though, what you're saying. I feel that in my heart, which makes
Yes,
me
because
think
if you're a
that what you're
Christian, I'm
saying
not gonna
is,
attack you. I'm not.
yeah, I
Let me tell you, I'm not trying to attack you. I am. Let me tell you, I'm a Christian. I just want to see what you're at, what your point of view
know. I know.
about heaven and hell, and you didn't know, so it's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna attack you about that. I just want to see, do you believe in Jesus or do you don't know?
100%. 100% I believe in him. I think I had like a kind of a revelation the other day, if we really
So
want to talk about this quickly. I had a revelation the other
yeah,
day
yes. Talk about it. Talk about it.
because I've like wondered sometimes if, if Jesus really was coming back, like to earth, And I had this thought the
He
other day
will.
because
He
I feel
will.
like one of the greatest wars, or not the greatest wars because war is awful, but one of the greatest, I feel like, purposes that we can do is help unite people to one as far as beliefs go. Because I feel like
Yes,
we feel,
that's what God wants me.
yeah. And I feel like that's not what's happening anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And you see, I don't know. You see in the church world, they be attacking one another. I know that. I'm not gonna attack you. You believe in Jesus. I'm not trying to come here to attack you. I just want to know your
I
situation.
think that
And
I think
and when I hear you, I know you go through a lot, and we all go through ups and downs. But just to know that you put your trust in the one that can save us from a bad place called hell, and you're able to do so.
yeah. I think for me, I just give myself grace and uh, I have grace for others and I have grace for where people are at. And I guess I never want people to feel like they are attacked because I believe that, and this is not talking about me, I'm talking about somebody else or other people, is that people's beliefs are part of their identity. And who am I to tell somebody that their identity is wrong? That's the only thing that I don't like. I don't like that people's identity has, and I feel like when that happens, people might feel like part of their identity isn't theirs anymore. And what would that mean and how that's scary? And then they have to give up a whole bunch of things that they maybe had in common with people that they won't ever. It's fear. And yes, I feel like fear is a very I mean, it's a huge driving force. So I think for people to feel safe to do that, they have to come to it not by themselves, but by the way that we show, this is my belief, by the way that we show them to be like Jesus, not to tell them, but to show them by what we do, by what we say, by
Yes.
how we, um, how we show up for people and the thoughts we think. And sometimes it doesn't look exactly the same for every person. But I believe if you're trying to be more like the higher power that governs everything, then there really shouldn't be anything else that matters.
Yes, sister, you're right. We try to be like Jesus. That's right. Follow Jesus. We be example to others by us following Jesus. The way we show love, the way we show compassion, the way we show forgiveness is the way that Jesus Christ did on earth.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. Can you do me a favor now? Can you play for me? You mean pray for you? I feel like what's your name, sir?
Yeah, sister, you want? Let's pray together.
Okay.
My name is Brother Zeke. I'll show my face real quick. My name is Zeke, sister.
Okay,
My name
nice.
is Raziki. I'm a preacher on the. Yeah, my name is Raziki. Bible name, sister. What's your name, sister?
Samantha.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just. Nata. Oh, your sister. Yeah, sister. Let's pray. You want to pray?
Sure.
Yeah. You want me to pray or you want to pray?
You pray. Actually, first, Patrick is before. Is there anything specific you want us to pray about? Just so that we make it as clear as possible. Okay, pray to my heart. Don't go back in the AFIB and pray. I don't know what that is. And pray that my depression, like your depression lifts.
Oh, bro. Yes, bro. I've been through depression, bro. I've been to depression, suicide. That's one thing Jesus Christ saved me from. Yes. I know what you're going through, bro, about that. Not the hard trouble, but the depression, suicide, bro. I've been through it, bro,
Somebody
Patrick.
else wants to come
Yeah,
up
I
with
did.
something.